Good afternoon, welcome back to the workbench, and welcome to what's hopefully going to be a fast video, not too long. Anyway, I just want to mention these knobs here that I bought from AliExpress a while ago, not too long ago actually, pretty recently. I bought them with some other stuff. I might have mentioned that I wanted them for a decade resistance box. They come in packs of 4, I bought 2 packs of 4 because I wanted at least 6 of them. But yeah, it turns out I'm probably not going to actually use these. Not because they're not good or anything, they seem to be quite fine. They seem to be decent quality, the numbers are all there, they all line up. The you know, like the 0 or the 9 or whatever it is aligned with the grub screw, so they're all correct. Unlike some of the plastic knobs I've bought from JCar recently, where the inset sort of cap that has the pointer on it was actually completely misaligned with the flat part of the knob that goes on the flat part of the shaft for the thing, so I had to actually pop the caps off and realign them so they actually made sense. Unlike those, these actually seem quite good. The quality seems fine. They got pretty nice design. They're a little smaller than I expected, although I didn't actually look at the dimensions before I bought them, so that's on me. But yeah, I definitely will use these for something else, I'm sure, but not for what I was going to buy them for. Or what I did buy them for. Anyway, which, like I said, was a decade resistance box. It turned out that about a week after I actually bought these, I found for sale second-hand an actual proper one, which is right here. And in fact, and the price for this was pretty much the same as what it would cost to have built that myself. And also, not only did I get that, I also got this as well. So a capacitance version of the same thing. These are obviously kit sets from silicon chip. But yeah, so basically I kind of got 2 for the price of 1, and well, as you can see, there is a problem with this one. But yeah, so the price basically made no sense to continue building one myself. I just decided to buy this one, and well, these 2 anyway. But yeah, so there's that. Let's see if that can... more in focus? Yeah, that looks a bit better. Okay, so yeah, I apologise if my microphone sounds a bit odd. I'm trying to use a different one rather than the headset, which is a bit bulky and annoying sometimes. Anyway, so yeah, I bought these second hand, and as you can see, this one is a broken switch. The seller did give me the original knob, plus a little Allen key for the grub screw, so that's nice. And I bought a new switch from JCar, which is the single pole 12 position switch, and that is interesting. Actually, is a good point to mention, because these only have 10 positions used. Obviously, they go from 0 to 9, which is 10 positions, but these switches can go from 0 to 11, which is 12 positions. The thing with these switches are, and I think the person who built this either didn't read the instructions properly or something, and didn't actually set this up correctly. So if you look, for example, this one here, I can turn this one, obviously I can't turn this one because it's broken, but you see it starts at 0, it goes around all the way to 10, or 9, the 10th position, but it goes further to an 11 and 12 that obviously aren't actually used in the circuit. And the reason for that is that this whoever built this didn't set the switches up properly, and these switches... Whoops! Assuming I don't drop it on the floor and destroy it. These switches have a feature. If you take the nut off and the little lock washer thing, you have this little ring here with this little tab on it. And if you see in here, there's these little holes around the bottom of the switch. And I'm not sure if you can tell, I don't know if the camera will focus on it, but each of these has a number, and they're numbered 1 to 11. And you can change the limit of the switch by putting this ring into each different hole. So, for example, on this you only want 10 positions rather than 12, so you would set that to the, I think the number 10, or maybe the number 9, but either way. And if we start, we got the first position is position 0, so let's say it's 1. So 1, turn it in another position is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I skipped 2, but there you go. So it only goes to 10 now. and if I take that thing out, it goes all the way to 12. So yeah, these can be used to reconfigure the switch to have it stop at some certain point, and when building something like this, that's what you'd normally do. You'd have it set to only go up to the 10th position and no further. So either the person who built this has left these washers out, or they've just set them to the wrong thing or something, which is kind of annoying. Yeah, I don't know if they've left these out. I don't know where you get these. I don't know if you can buy these separately. You probably can't. Maybe you could put something into the hole, but I'm not sure. Anyway, yeah, so if you don't know, now you know. That's how you can use any of these switches and reposition them to have a maximum travel. If you don't want to use all the contacts, such as in here, where you're only using 10 out of the 12. So yeah, that's a thing to note. So anyway, obviously this video is about replacing this switch. I have a new switch, and we have a broken switch, and yes. So that's the whole point of that. I shall be opening these up and finding out how this all works. I've looked online at the magazine article. They seem to be pretty simple. So I'll just take these screws out. But yeah, the switches are cheaper at, I think at JCar these are like $5.80 or something. You can get them for $4.50 at like Farnell, and if you buy 6 of them, that's I don't know, whatever, $30 or something. Plus the cost of the case, which is like another like $9 or whatever. The knobs and all that stuff, it all adds up, and yeah, so the price of doing that didn't make sense compared to what I could find here. So anyway, there we go. There's the thing there. You can see it's just the basic PCB. We've got all these things there on it. It looks like the washers are there. I can see the lock washers, and I can see a bit of metal below those, I think. Maybe, or maybe that is the lock washer. I don't know. Anyway, it is what it is. So let's see. I think I need to... How do I do this? It's quite a nice design actually, but yeah, so it looks like... Obviously I'll need to take all the knobs out, unbolt all the switches. I guess I need to take the binding posts out as well. And those screw out from the bottom, so that's going to have to be desoldered. So yeah, I'll have to desolder those, take all the knobs off, take all the nuts off, and that should be that. Yeah. So it shouldn't be too difficult. I probably won't show the entire process for that because it's not particularly interesting. But yeah, unfortunately we can't just take that switch out and we have to disassemble the entire thing. So yeah, well that was amusing. These came off a bit easier than I expected. This one actually just fell off completely because it wasn't even soldered on very well. You can see there's only a little bit of solder on one edge. And this one is still soldered, but it's actually spinning freely around in the solder, so it's broken. So yeah, that came off a bit easier than I thought. Just need to get my iron on there, and should be able to just pop that off. There we go. Yep. Excellent. So that's there. I probably didn't need to unscrew those, but whatever. It all works, doesn't it? It's fine. I probably did, because I don't know if I could have desoldered them both at exactly the same time. Whatever. Probably easier this way. Anyway, there we go. So looks like the front panel is just made with some FR4 material, I think. It's quite a nice design actually. Well, it's got the sort of silver in here, so I don't know if that's like a plated through hole thing, or if it's like aluminium based. I don't know, the edges just look like plain fiberglass, so I don't know. Anyway, it must be tinned that way. Anyway, either way, it works, so that's good. And now we just have the board here, so yeah. I don't know how the person has taken these off. They look quite rough. It's like they've just cut them with a big pair of pliers or something. Rather odd. Anyway. Or something. Anyway, I usually use a hacksaw for things like this. But yeah, so we've got to desolder this switch here. I've got to clear out this hole. It shouldn't be too hard. Let's see. There we go. A bit of solder there, but we got it in the end. Alright, now we can do the same with this one. And try and work this on the camera. It's not very complicated, just heat it up and suck it out. I don't know if these are plated through hole. They look like they kind of might be. Is there stuff on the top? No, not really. There's like, the pads do go all the way through, but like the top doesn't have solder. It's been solder masked, so it looks like it should be easy to desolder that then. Probably easier than it would be otherwise. Anyway, just a simple task of going around and taking everything off. Yeah, I think this is definitely a better quality option than the ones that Dave Jones bought, or one that he bought off eBay or AliExpress or whatever, the one that had like the switches integrated into the PCB, and the PCB was the switch contacts as well, and the oh yeah, so the person who made this has just completely forgone the little washer that allows you to change the position, so that's kind of annoying. Yeah, if I wanted to get some of those, I would have to, I don't know how I'd get them. Maybe you can somewhere, somehow, maybe on AliExpress, but anyway, that's kind of annoying. Yeah, the instructions in the magazine article specifically tell you to do that, so the person who did this obviously didn't bother reading them. Anyway, let's see, so that's mostly desoldered, I think. But yeah, just thinking about that one, I think Dave Jones recently did the thing. He showed one that was made in China sort of thing, and the switches were part of the PCB, the contacts, everything, and the knobs were backwards or something, and they used surface mount stuff. And yeah, I mean, for the price, I think not really worth it. Something like this is better, the kit, or even just make your own, basically the same like this. I think it's better quality, especially with the switches, because if they break, you can just replace them. With a brand new one, it's not hard. Whereas if the switch is made as part of the PCB, then if the contacts wear out, well, the whole thing's just worthless, basically. But in this case, you know, you can replace every individual part, and it's a much more sensible idea. Anyway, I think a couple of these are not fully desoldered. That one there. But yeah, whatever. We'll get there in the end. Okay, so these things are all falling off, but that's fine. It looks like this is kind of a little bit tricky to desolder, not because getting the solder out is hard. I mean, the holes are almost practically clear. It's yeah, the holes are quite clear, but they're sort of sticking to the edges because of the way the switch is. It's I think the holes and the pins are not exactly aligned, and so it's easy for the pins to touch quite tightly to the edge of the holes. Yeah, so I think a trick to that is to get like a screwdriver or something. Excuse the end of that. Yeah, and just sort of heat up the solder while pushing the pin away from the side of the board. like this, and then let it cool, and then now it's in the middle, and it should be free. Now I pushed it too far to the other end, but you can also push these. That one's free. Most of these are not. That one's free. Yeah, this requires sort of heating it up and pushing at it a bit. See how easily that one went back when I heated it up because it's got tension on it. If you need to sort of like push it otherwise. I'll try and break the solder joint anyway. A little bit of a pain, but not impossible. Yeah. Just requires a bit of fiddling around. Of course, you could also use wick, might help. You might have to push these with the soldering iron. Sort of push them into the center of the hole. They don't sort of have as much solder holding them on as they did. They might come off more easily. Some of these I may have to redo with the thing. Actually, no, the tension's not too bad on these, so maybe just pushing them into the center and then redoing that on it. Yeah, that looks a bit better, doesn't it? You can see that on here, but like that one there that I just did, that one here by number 4, that looks pretty clear, and I think yeah, that's free now. So I just got to go around and do that with all of them, I guess. 5 is free, 8 is free, and 2, 3. I think I just got 4, 5, and 8 free. Yeah, I think bending the positions of the tabs and then redoing them all looks like the way to go. Possibly. I have to do everything except 4, 5, and 8. Redo that all. Yeah, that should work though. Yeah, that looks like it's working better. Okay. Hopefully, anyway. Yeah, I certainly don't want to destroy the board. These all look pretty free. Let's see if it comes out. Just about. Yep, there we go. Got that out. Yeah, you can see the solder hasn't really gone through. They haven't got They got this solder mask on top of the pads on the other side. Interesting. Anyway, yeah, I don't know how this is being done. Anyway, I just got to measure the shaft on here and cut the new one to the same length. And let's see how that goes. So what have we got? That one's the busted one. That one's no good. And what do I want? Oh yeah, a ruler or something. Okay, so these are like 6 millimeters, it looks like. Sorry, you can't see that very well. Don't know if you're able to see that at all, to be honest. Let's try without the light. But yeah, you can see that's about. Yeah, it goes to like 5 in the short part in the middle, but almost 6 at the top. So, yeah, we want to go with whatever is the highest part because that will influence how far the knob goes down. Yeah, like that one there, it's definitely like 6 mil at the highest point. So, yeah, we want to cut the new one to 6. Which should not be too hard. Here it is here. I'll just put the thing on there. Now, fun part is marking this. Seeing as it's black, it's easy to mark aluminium shafts on potentiometers because they're light. I might be able to mark it. I don't know if a pencil will show up on black, will it? Yeah, not that well. Maybe one of these pens. One of these marker pens. Oh yeah, that's a bit better. You can kind of see a. It's meant to be blue, but you can see a kind of a black line. They both show up fairly well, but the pen looks better. So yeah, I can just mark that there at 6 mil. 6 mil is basically there. There we go. Now I need a hacksaw. Well, you could use various things for that, including snapping it off, like this person did apparently. Which may be why this ended up damaged enough to break off, I don't know. Anyway, however, I have a hacksaw, so I shall be doing that. I've got a little vise over the other side of the bench, which I shall just put this in. Obviously, you would clamp this end in the vise and cut here. Don't try and clamp the switch in the vise, or when you try to cut this, it'll just spin round and probably wreck the switch. Yeah. There we go. Alright, there we go. I've cut the shaft off. It's 6 mil. Which again you can't see because I turned the light back on. But there we go. It's 6 mil there. There's just a little burr at the edge. I have to just sand off, I guess, that little bit sticking up there. You can kind of see it even though it's blurry. Yeah, I think that sticks up above 6, but in fact I might as well get that with Sidecutters probably, to be honest. Or you could use sandpaper, but yeah, there we go, just clip it off. Excellent, okay, so the knob should fit on there, and it does, so that's good. That's all good, got that there. And yeah, I will set this to 10 positions, as is supposed to be what it is. Because at the very least I can have one of the switches that makes sense. It's kind of annoying, you know. I wish, yeah, I wish the person had actually used these. The other box is the same. They've just taken this off and thrown it away or something, which is rather annoying. Anyway, yeah. But that is what it is, I guess. We can't really do much about that. Again, maybe I can find some way to make something of it that works, but I don't know. I'd have to look on the... Maybe you can buy one on AliExpress or something. Right, let's see. In fact, actually, I think what's annoying about that is if I might actually have to take this off as well, because with that washer on there, it would make this switch higher than these ones because they've just got the lock washer. So actually I have to do this, which is stupid and annoying. But oh well. Yeah, otherwise it'll bend the front panel, I suppose, a bit, and might not be that great. So yeah. Oh well, that's fine, I guess. If in the future I can find some more of those washers, I can put them all on and make it all make sense, and they'll all be the same height and it'll work. But for now, I guess I'll just have to put up with the fact that they don't make sense, which is slightly annoying. Hey, at least I get a spare lock washer and nut from the dead switch, so that's useful. Yeah, why not? Anyway, so that's cool. What was I doing? Oh yeah, I suppose I should solder this in. Yeah, how does that go? Let's see if we can get that in there. Put the light back on, I suppose. Alrighty then, it should go here. And try to get all these. Oh yep, works perfectly fine if you actually align it correctly. Yeah, there we go. So I just have to, well, I'll do the usual thing. How I do it with these, something a large component like that where you want it to sit flush against the board, I will put it in just like this, just loose, whatever, hold it with a piece of tape or anything, and just solder one of the pins, like this, for example, that center pin. Then I'll get my finger under it and hold it tight against the board, and then reflow that pin while pushing down on the component to make sure it's nice and flush. And then I check the alignment, make sure it's the same as the others. It looks good. Yeah, so that should be fine. Oh, I see, I've missed a spot too. You have to cut this little alignment post off the switch as well. Oops. I didn't notice that at the time. Maybe I can just snip it off. Good thing I did that before I soldered it all on. Whee! That should work. Yeah, that looks okay. Yeah, that looks alright. Okay then. I didn't have to bother desoldering, getting out the hacksaw again. Okay, so now I can just solder all the rest in, now that I know that it's nice and snug. I might solder this opposite pin over here, because I've soldered this point. I'll solder that one, number 7, and then I'll do the same thing. I'll just push down on it and reflow number 7 and number, well, but the center point, just to make sure it's nice and good. And that should be fine. Now I can just go around and put them all on. Because there's nothing worse than having a switch or something that needs to be aligned correctly to the board, and then you solder all the pins in, and then you find out that the thing is, you know, on an angle or something, or slightly raised up from the board, and it's not going to fit properly. And then yeah, it doesn't work, and then you have to try and desolder it again. And you know, not too bad with something like this where it's almost a single layer board, but if you got like a proper through hole and everything, and it's like maybe 4 layers or something ridiculous, well then, you know, that's not fun. So yeah, anyway, now considering this is a proper resistance box thing, I mean, I don't know, it's only 1% resistors, I think, going by look here, so it's not super critical, but obviously I do want to clean this flux up, especially seeing as this is on the lowest ohm range. It might interfere with the reading, but probably not, but I'll clean it up anyway. Just makes a bit more sense, doesn't it? Obviously I'll just grab what I have to hand here. I bought one of these little squirt bottle things off AliExpress the other day as well. It was quite good. Just a nice way to drip alcohol on something for cleaning. Easy sort of way to do it. So I'm just going to get in here with a cotton bud thing and just go around like that. Yeah, that should do it. Just give everything a decent clean. Make sure it's not gonna some kind of leakage. Again, I don't think it's gonna be a big deal, but then again, I mean, this thing is rated for what, 100 volts or something? Yeah, 100 volts on there, so you could potentially have an issue if it's if you're doing that. Don't really want to have some kind of leakage or arcing between points. I don't know. Flux can be a little conductive at high voltages. Flux residue. So better not to have it. I don't know if the leakage or anything would offset the reading. I mean, maybe it was like milliohms or something it would, but just single ohms, it's probably fine. I don't think it's a big deal. But yeah, just want to make sure that that's good enough. I'm not going to worry too much about it, but should be alright. I mean, the other ones have a bit of flux already, and it's probably fine. Yeah, that should be good enough. Wouldn't be hard to take it back out and clean it again if I needed to, so I'm not going to worry about that. Yeah, so now I can just put it all back together, I think. Which shouldn't be too hard. Let's see, so I'm going to have to take that off. And take that off, unfortunately. I did already take the washer off. Okay, that's fine. Need to put that lock washer back on that one. They've all got those. Now, let's see, how does this work? Actually, I think we're fine to just put that on here. And screw these down. Yeah, if anyone knows where to get those washers, these things, with a little tab on them, for Lawland brand switches, I believe they are. Actually, it says Alpha on here, but I don't know, on Farnell they're Lawland or something, but yeah. If anyone knows where to get those, that'd be great, because I'd really love to put them on all these and actually make it make sense, so you can't overturn the switch and be annoying. Yeah, anyway. But if I put all these on, who knows, maybe Farnell sell them. I mean, the problem with that is, like, you know, it's not something that you'd expect to sell separately, because, you know, the switches come with them and you're not typically going to lose them, you know, you're either going to use them or you're not. But yeah, I'll tighten this up later, but I just want to get it in position for the the binding posts. So that will go, I think, on here. So yeah, these fit through there, it looks like. So yeah, we need to put the washer on like that, and the nut there. Sort of get that a little bit fiddly. Probably would have made sense to put that on first actually, but yeah, it works. Let me try to get this on without cross-threading it. Yeah, I'm just holding it there, screwing that way. That works a bit better. Now we got that through the hole. And obviously it makes sense to, of course these bits spin, so you can't hold it by there, you've got to hold it here when you tighten the nut. And it makes sense to do this. Make sure that's nice and tight before you solder it in, otherwise when you go to attach anything to this you could well end up breaking the solder connection. So yeah, so we'll make sure that's pretty good. Yeah, and there we go, and then just do the other one. It looks like these might have been cross-threaded previously. I can see sort of damage to the threads. It's kind of annoying. Still, it'll work, I believe, eventually. Now that's a little bit crap. It's not fully down there. I think the threads were damaged at some point, so it won't sort of go down fully, but it's good enough. I mean, it's fairly sturdy. It's not loose or anything, so it seems to be okay. Not going to worry too much about it. It's not like these things are going to have too much like pressure or anything on them. So anyway, I can just finish tightening up the nuts for the switches, I guess. Again, not like those need to be super tight or anything. And there we go. What fun. Cool, so that seems to be fine. What else do I need? Oh yeah, I need to solder the binding posts back on, obviously. Not going to get very far if they're not soldered, are we? If the solder will even take to it. Oh yeah, that seems to work. Have to get a good amount on there. Yeah, I don't know, these things often seem to have some kind of plating that's very difficult to solder onto. Seems a bit strange. Anyway, that seems to be okay. Get rid of that little solder ball there. A couple there. And otherwise, that looks fine. Right, cool. So, that should be done. Now the final question is to stick it back in the box, I suppose, and as is tradition, let's only put one screw in. Just to make 100% sure that we're not going to mess it up. Okay, now let's put the knobs on. Anyway, so that looks nice. Now we can give it a little test. Now my multimeters probably aren't highly precisional, so I don't know, how well it's going to show up. But it should be okay. I'll use my fluke, that's probably the best one. Let's see. Okay, can you see the multimeter? Yes, you can. Alright. Can you still see the multimeter? Yes, you can. Okay, so on everything zeroed, it's 0.5 ohms, which makes sense. And if I put it up to 1, we've got this times 10. So we should get 10 ohms, that we do, and then I suppose we should get 20. Yep, and 30, and 40, and we got like the 0.4, 0.5, 50, 60, 70, and that extra resistance is just from the leads being silly, obviously, and then we got 9, so we should have 90 ohms, and if we go one step further, we probably have nothing again. Yeah, now it's open circuit, so exactly, that's why you want the end stop to actually be there, so that you can't accidentally go too far and then have nothing and wonder why nothing works. So yeah, a bit annoying, but oh well. And obviously we have the other ones, 900 ohms. Everything seems to be working as you'd expect. It seems to be pretty good. Again, obviously, I don't know, this is a pretty old meter. It's don't know the calibration on it. Don't know, this is only 1% resistors, so you know. But hey, it looks pretty good from what I can see. Maybe we could add like a 1K, that's 1.5. Yeah, I mean it's not bad. It seems to be okay. Try adding a 10K. So we've got 11.5. We added this. We should have like 14.5 and 14.6. Yeah, it's not too bad. It's not too bad at all. We had 100K, 114.6, like 614.6. Well, rounds up to 615, makes sense. We got 1 meg. Put like 4 meg on there, so 4.6. Yeah, 0.64 makes sense. Yeah. Oh. I don't know. Does that make sense? It might be a little bit off. 5.64. Yeah, it's going up a little bit, but I mean that's in the meg ohms. So I don't know. Again, this thing's pretty old, so who knows? But yeah, I mean the thing seems to work. Seems to work fine. So that's great. It's just a shame I couldn't get the proper washers for these, but maybe in some point in the future I'll be able to find those somewhere and be able to add them on. That would be nice, because yeah, not having them there means you can accidentally turn the switch too far and end up in a position where it does nothing, and the circuit is then open circuit because we're connected to a terminal that isn't connected to anything. But hey, that's one thing. One point about dealing with other people's work is you don't always know what they've done. You don't always know if they've done anything right. It's obviously why working on something that someone else has tried to fix is often a terrible exercise in masochism. Well, not always, but sometimes, because especially if they didn't know what they were doing. Anyway, but this is not too bad. It's a minor annoyance. The thing does work otherwise, as you'd expect, and seems to be perfectly fine. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I got, like I said, 2 of these basically for the price of 1, and then an extra $5 or so for a new switch, and there we go. It's all pretty good. All I have to do is just finish tightening all these switches there, which is pretty easy to do. In fact, if I turn these around, it gives me access. Look at that. Look how easy that is. Wonderful. Anyway, so that's pretty cool. And yeah. So overall, not a bad deal. It all seems to be pretty nice. Yeah, so I don't know. Hopefully that was interesting. Hopefully that was useful. And if nothing else, hopefully you learned why these rotary switches have these little washers with this little tag there, and hopefully you will know how to use them properly in the future and actually set the switch to the appropriate things. We don't end up with the problem that we have on this thing. But hey, like I said, for the price I'm pretty happy with it, and if I ever do find washers that fit these, I will add them. But there we go, that's about it. That's it really, yeah, nothing else to say. Quite nice. Hopefully that was interesting, hopefully that was useful, and I'll see you next time.